Beef evaluation and grading. Quality grading. Basic guidelines for evaluating beef were established in 1917, with many changes and improvements following over the years. Grading was established originally to purchase beef for the armed forces during World War One, and later for steamship lines. For steamship lines, restaurants, and the railroad dining cars. Grading assigned a value to the wide-ranging levels of beef available at the time. By 1941, many of the terms now in use were already established, although adjustments to what is required for these grades have been made since that time. Today, beef grading is voluntary and is primarily done to the upper grades of beef to determine value. Grading is paid for by the processor. Therefore, all of the lesser quality beef, although deemed wholesome or fit for consumption, would be excluded from grading. The USDA has guidelines for grading that include many of the following features: size and weight of the animal, age or the maturity of the animal, the weight of the carcass, the overall fullness or the conformation, basic meat to bone ratio, the color of the lean and muscle tissue, any de- any defects in the lean muscle tissue, marbling scores, which is the intramuscular fat. The maturity of beef is determined by the bones ossification at points along the vertebrae or by looking at the teeth of the animal. Age categories are used when grading. Maturity is given a letter grade from A to E. A is 9 to 30 months, B is 30 to 42 months, C is 42 to 72 months, D is 72 months to 96 months. E is above the threshold of 96 months. High quality beef would primarily fall into the A maturity range. Beef is quality graded at what is called the ribeye area, or the REA, the spot between the 12th and 13th rib. This location will tell much of what is needed to judge the quality of the entire carcass. The quality grading defines the quote and palatability end quote or taste, tenderness, and mouthfeel of the beef. The USDA quality grades include prime, choice, select, standard, commercial, utility, cutter, canner. When identifying the quality in beef, the buyer must first establish the intended use of the item. Higher quality beef is typically used in steakhouses, where the flavor and texture are important to the sale. Choice beef has significant quality and can be used as a quality item. However, the range within choice requires the purchaser to be aware of some lower end product that could represent a lesser quality dining experience. Select beef, which has a lower marbling score, usually requires some beef to make it more palatable. Select grade cuts may be enhanced or tenderized to aid the palatability. Marbling, although not the only factor in quality grading, substantially increases flavor. Without it, beef may be tender, depending on the age and breed, but lacks the flavor of quality beef. The yield grading. Beef can be yield graded to assign value in a different way. Yield grading of beef judges the cuttability of the carcass, which includes the fat to lean ratio. Beef yield grades are used when establishing specifics for beef cuts and are determined by the thickness of the exterior fat and the mass of the interior or lumbar fat. These, in conjunction with the ratio between the mass of the rib eye area or the muscle score and the heart carcass weight, are then calculated into a yield grade number. Beef yield grades. Number 1, leanest, not typically in beef with much marbling. 2 and 3 are blank. Number 4, fat, heavy waist and generally avoided. 5, fattiest, extremely fat, unprofitable and wasteful. 2s and 3s are the most typical grades. Damn it. 2s and 3s are the most typical grades. Yield grades become less important as the restaurants and the markets purchase pre-trimmed beef cuts, where the heavy fat is trimmed to predetermined levels by the processor. Over or undersized items are often deemed outs, or the outside items, which may be often sold at a discount due to their regulations.